the Caribbean, we have to understand that the Caribbean was once considered a major pirate cove, primarily during the golden age of piracy. Now, today, the pirate cove, in my opinion, has been replaced by what's referred to as the Caribbean corridor, which is the main maritime route for South American cocaine shipments to the U.S. The pirates have now been replaced by drug traffickers. The U.S. Coast Guard recently seized approximately $96 million worth of cocaine in Miami, which came through the Caribbean corridor. So the Caribbean, although it's an excellent place to vacation, you have to be aware that it also represents one of the largest drug hubs in the Western Hemisphere. And it's also one of the best places, if not the best place in the world, to launder drug proceeds and create offshore accounts. So again, although it's a nice place to vacation, many of the islands have been compromised. Some are safer than the others, but travelers need to be aware of the environment they are in. Well, I recently was in Jamaica for a conference, and although I stayed at a 5-star resort, we were told exclusively, do not leave the resort. Jamaica has probably one of the highest crime rates and murder rates in the Caribbean. You have the Jamaican Posse, a number of drug trafficking groups, which goes back to my original opening statement. Within these islands, you have numerous drug trafficking groups which assist the Colombian, Peruvian, Mexican cartels with moving narcotics through the Caribbean. These islands and the islands associated with them are jumping spots. Drugs come in, they get transferred to another vehicle or vessel, they go on to the United States. During the 1990s, Medellin cartel used the Caribbean extensively to move cocaine from Central America to the United States. So I don't want to be an alarmist, but in many cases, drug and sex traffickers and other criminal elements are based in the Caribbean because of the high volume of narcotics that trans through them on their way to the U.S. That creates a very dangerous environment related to the individuals who are there to prey upon what I call the unsuspecting. Case in point, which highlights that. 2005, you may remember the disappearance of 18-year-old Natalie Holloway, now declared dead. She was visiting the island of Aruba, which is extremely safe. Her disappearance was later linked to the 2010 murder of Stephanie Ramirez in Peru by a Dutch national. So even though it didn't involve narcotics, you have people who come to these islands and feel they are untouchable, feel they can break the law, and especially for young women, these areas, these resorts are areas where predators will look for unsuspecting individuals who are there for a vacation. They may be drinking too much. They may choose to use some narcotics. Their guard has been let down. Well, the risk to some extent is the same. I think if you go back and you look at footage of spring breakers going to Miami, they openly talk about they're going to get drunk. They're going to use narcotics. They're going to smoke marijuana. It's kind of like they're just going to let go, let all their guard down, and indulge in these very dangerous and risky behaviors. But now when you do that same behavior in a country outside of the United States, you no longer have that U.S. protection. You're dealing perhaps with governments who are not concerned about your safety, governments who have certain levels of corruption. I mean, you can just disappear in some of these islands. I believe Natalie Holloway, they never found her body, right? She was declared dead, but we still don't know if that was related to the Dutch national who killed Stephanie Ramirez. Let's remember that Dutch national was in Aruba. So you have individuals who are, I would say, predominantly not predisposed to violent activity, but when they get in those environments, and men, they start drinking, they start doing drugs, they see women as accessible, as usable, and perhaps I won't get caught. So the threat level for women, I think, especially young women, goes up significantly when you're in an environment that's conducive to drug usage, that's conducive to excessive alcohol, that's conducive to partying throughout the night and just simply letting go of all your inhibitions. That presents a risk which I think many young adults, especially women, take for granted. Of course, you're in Aruba, it's a level 1, doesn't mean you're necessarily safe from those predators who exist in this environment, right? That has to some degree has a protective embryo around them. But, in my advice, regardless of the resort you go to, certainly if you're going to a level 3 country, you need to know when you check with the security office, the concierge, where can we go, where can we not go? They say don't leave the resort. don't leave the resort. Don't sneak off into town by yourself or with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or something and go to some nightclub that nobody knows where you are. So you can simply disappear. So number one, always travel in groups. Always have what we call your wingman or wing girl, your buddy system. Perhaps carry a personal tracker, one of the iPhone trackers that you can slip into your bag, or a bracelet that's got a tracker on it, and let people know, hey, I've got the tracker. If you don't hear from me in 6 hours, something's wrong, right? So their parents can also keep track of them. And they don't have to necessarily be people with you, but your parents, your friends who may be in the United States or wherever they may be, can keep track of where you are. So when you disappear, like in Natalie Holloway's case, you have a starting point, where to look for that individual. Under no circumstances would I advise even people working for the Peace Corps or church groups to go to Haiti. It is completely lawless at this point. Concerning the Don Rep, as we refer to it as, that government takes extensive precautions to keep the bad elements in Haiti out of the Dominican Republic. That said, there are significant drug trafficking organizations in the Dominican Republic that move, tons of narcotics for the cartels. But the difference is, I believe those groups understand the red line that they should not cross, which can affect tourism. If those groups affect tourism, then the government will come down very hard on them because, one of the primary means of income is tourism. So in general, Don Rep is safe, but still the same security precautions apply. Don't travel by yourself. Don't move around outside the resorts. Move in tour groups or resort groups, and have a tracker or some means for somebody to find you if you don't respond or if you don't show up at a designated time. And again, be wary when you go into a bar. Who's bringing you your drinks? The date drug, Rohypnol, is everywhere. Be leery of who you meet and who you may go out with. Someone from another country, perhaps, who can simply disappear and be very difficult to track. So again, your guard, I can't emphasize enough for young women, they have to keep their guard up. Do not go to these islands thinking nothing can happen to you. I would just say, I've worked all over the world. There are a lot of women from all over the world who are lured into bringing back, let's say, gifts, handbags, or luggage that they may receive from someone they meet. Sometimes those items have narcotics concealed in them. So if you're in one of these islands and you meet someone and they buy you an expensive handbag or a suitcase or some kind of item, hey, could you just take this back to my friend in New York? Don't do it, because there's a high probability it could have a few grams of some narcotics or maybe half a kilo. You don't know. I've seen women all over the world get arrested and spend 10, 15, 20 years in jail for carrying a handbag which had 200 grams of cocaine hidden in it. They had no idea. So you have to understand there is a global network of drug traffickers that also who are involved in human trafficking. This is a form of human trafficking, in my opinion, that lure women into these positions to move narcotics, sometimes without their knowledge, and they get arrested. They're disposable to the narcotic trafficking groups. They go get someone else. They may meet someone, befriend them, become their boyfriend. Hey, go on a vacation for me to Nassau or to Aruba. And while you're there, my friend's going to meet you and give you a handbag. Can you just bring that back for me? Oh, sure, no problem. And then they get caught at JFK smuggling narcotics. So women have to also be, and men as well, you have to be aware of if somebody's giving you a gift that looks like it can contain narcotics, don't take it, right? Just go to the islands, have a good time.